Hello.
There's a switch.
All right, we don't have a moderator for this panel, so we're just going to wing it, if that's all right with you guys.
It seems like none of us knows what we're supposed to do either, so.
Yeah, we also just found out apparently we're going.
You came here to see art. We don't know how to draw.
Hello. Yes.
Or whether to draw.
Yeah.
So instead, we're just going to discuss our favorite episodes of The Golden Girls.
Oh, yeah. There's one where Rose goes on a cruise with a man, but she hasn't been with the man since her husband died. It is very dramatic and hilarious.
Yes.
Should we introduce ourselves?
If we must.
All right, you go first.
All right. My name is Andy Price. I'm a freelance illustrator. I've been working with IDW Comics on the My Little Pony comic line since 2012. Just hit my 5th anniversary. For comics, that's actually a pretty big deal. You don't usually stay with a book that long. But I've been with it since issue 1, and I just wrote my first MLP comic, Friends Forever number 38, with Celestia and Luna, and we're going to be doing a reading of the director's cut version here tomorrow at 1.
I'm Tony Fleece. All those same things, except instead of Celestia and Luna, Rainbow Dash and Little Strongheart the Buffalo, and we're not reading it tomorrow.
Right.
But 5 years since number 1, but like I drew the cover, not the inside. Pretty similar, gray beard. He's from Georgia, I'm from the other side, Los Angeles. So anyway, nice to see everyone. Thanks for coming out. Dana.
My name is Dana Simpson, and I have been reading the Pony comics since the beginning.
Oh, thank you.
Good, I'm glad that got so much applause. I do a comic strip called Phoebe and Her Unicorn, which I have been drawing since also 2012. And it is now in 5 books. It's won some awards. People like it.
That's good. That's good.
My name is Samantha Silva, or Jada Jinx. I've been in this fandom since probably 2013, drawing art, selling at conventions and stuff. Don't do comics professionally, but I do my own comics online. Currently starting a webcomic. It's not pony related. It has something to do with Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. So if you're interested, come by my booth and I'll tell you all about my OCs. No, there's a switch. She's the mute one.
Okay, I'm very quiet. I'm Holly Grover, or I go by Halulu. I'm a... Can you hear me now? Okay. I'm a freelance artist, and I've done artwork for a couple of My Little Pony conventions, Equestria LA, Everfree Northwest, and PonyCon. And I'm currently developing 2 comics in my off time when I'm not working. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hello? Okay. Hi, I'm Drunk on Tea, or Tea for short. I worked mostly just for this convention, Everfree Northwest this year. I did a lot of the community guest art as well as the T-shirt artwork, so if you've seen those, that was my contribution. Other than that, I do a lot of, I'm probably best known for more rendered or soft shaded, if you will, style online. A lot of my more famous works are of the Equestria Girls series, so if you've seen those are kind of my go-to point of the fandom. And other than that, I don't actually do art as my main profession. I work as an engineer, so if you have any questions along that field, feel free to do those my way as well. 2 very different things, but you know. That's me.
Now we don't know what to do.
Thank you guys for coming. We'll see you next time.
Great
This
show.
guy
Great
eating
show.
soup? What's going on up here?
Soup.
You're just
What?
having soup? All right.
Out of a beer
Oh, it's a
mug.
chunky soup.
Out of a stein.
That
I'd
is
like to know,
crazy.
did you bring enough for everyone?
Okay.
All right, let's go. Let's all have soup. Let's all share his soup.
It's fine. When I was in
This is
college,
the-
I made ramen in a coffee maker.
This could be the artist eating soup panel. That would be really fun, right?
Yeah.
I guess we could take questions. Should we do that and then see where that takes us for a little bit? Does anybody
Yes.
have any questions about drawing?
I have a feeling that you guys probably know more about this panel than we do.
Yeah. Very professional. Or would you like us to draw something? Like maybe. Oh,
Okay.
boo.
See what you did.
So did you want to like ask the audience what they want us to draw, and then we'll take time to draw that, and then move on to the next and ask questions while we're drawing?
Let's do that. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I have 2 rules. I do not draw the Transformers, and I do not draw Bab's seed.
I have no rules. But I mean, the Transformers are very difficult. So I mean, why would you even say it? We're at a pony convention?
I have rules, but they're secret.
I don't even know how to draw a pony.
Go, Phoebe!
Yay!
Do you have a question? Oh,
What year is this?
well, how old are you? 9? All right, so I started drawing like when I was 4. By the time I was 9, I could draw better than other 9-year-olds, but not as good as 10-year-olds. So, how are you doing? Are you better than people in your class? Landscapes?
That's actually
pretty good.
I'll tell you right now, that's a pretty good start because a lot of the people that I see at shows that show me their art are only drawing characters and no backgrounds. So if you're doing backgrounds and no characters, you're
Yeah.
you're doing well.
And I feel like you have time to learn as well.
Yes, yes
but
you do.
You never really stop learning how to draw, though. You just sort of get good enough that people will pay you to do it, and then hopefully you get better while they're paying you.
Yep.
Or you keep drawing until eventually you're good, and then if you're lucky, sometime after that, someone starts paying you. It varies.
Or you don't ever have to worry about someone paying you. You can just draw because you love it.
Yeah, you don't need to get paid,
I mean, I don't
although it's
understand
nice.
that, but some
I
people
remember
love
that.
it. Yeah.
But in answer to your original question, I'm still learning how to draw. You know, I'm not 9. I'm a lot older than that. And I'm still learning stuff. And one of the ways that I learn stuff is, you know, looking at stuff these people draw and other people draw and stealing it.
Yep.
And sort of just practicing and drawing things I haven't drawn before, which is how you get good at stuff. Like, I just drew Marigold in about 3 seconds, and the reason is because I've done it every day for 5 years. So, yeah, I'm still learning. You will never stop learning how to draw.
That's the thing about drawing comics, is that your most recent page is vastly different than your first page because you've been drawing the character for so long. You know how to do it by heart, and it's just practice, because you have to draw it like 50 billion times, the same character over and over again.
I think one cool thing about how hard art is and the fact that there is no finish line or goal or like point where you're saying, like, even if you ask like a master artist, like, you know, the people on that side of the table.
Shut up.
Let him go.
Is that wrong? I mean, but I mean, you know, ask any like great artist at a convention or who's a professional. And you know, I was at a soccer con just nearby, you know, a couple months ago or last month or whatever. Last month, sorry. I have no sense of time anymore, you know. But I asked an artist, like, you know, I was like looking at his booth, and I'm like, you know, which piece is your favorite? You know, I love all your work. I can't choose. And he says, no, I hate them all. And you know, like, I mean, the degree of hatred, whatever, for your own artwork kind of varies from artist to artist. But that attitude of you're looking at your old work and you know you see every single flaw with it. But that's also where the reward comes from. So that's one of the cool things about artwork that you don't find in too many other professions. So, you know, as frustrated as you are, that's really kind of the beauty of it as well.
Basically boils down to just keep drawing, draw everything you see, draw all the time. Don't get too upset if you're not happy with what you're drawing, because the stuff you draw the next day will be better. Just keep drawing. Just
So you're
don't stop.
9 now, so you don't have a lot of
Don't stop.
options. But like when you get to
Yeah.
college or high school, even once you work through all your regular classes, you can just take art classes in the meantime. Unless your school district doesn't have art classes by that point, in which case I'm sorry, we failed you as a country.
Yeah. Or you can draw in your tests like we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before we move on to the next question, can we get a request from the audience of what we're drawing, please?
Hang on, just before we do that, hi, my name is Siri. It's great to have all you artists here with us today. Thank you very much for coming out.
Are you moderating?
I've basically just been appointed.
Oh, good.
The reason it took me so long was that I had to fly from Australia to get here.
And boy, are his arms tired.
You have no idea. I am really, really tired. We've got a couple of questions that are here. If you've got questions, please feel free to come up to the center microphone. If I'm not paying attention, if I'm just rabbiting on too much, just start waving your arms and say, "Shut up, Siri." Let's give it a try. Everyone wave your arms, say, "Shut up, Siri."
Shut up.
That's what I'm used to.
Boy, I've
Right.
said that to my phone so many times.
Okay, so we'll get the first guy up. Come on up.
All right, wait. Shut up, hold up. Let's go back. We skipped a step. We need something to draw.
Yeah, we need somebody.
Yeah.
Shut up.
We just found Tony's rule.
Be a little bit more creative.
Okay, I'm hearing a few people here. How about we say we'll go with griffins? The first challenge is a griffin challenge. What you need to do is you need to
Fine.
come up with something to do with the Seattle area and a griffin. So it could be something,
great. None of
something
us
in
are
the
from
Seattle
Seattle.
area. It
I'm
could be,
from Seattle.
you know, it could be the Black Hole Sun.
okay.
It could be.
I'll draw Fraser as a griffin.
I don't know. Do you guys have like a large tower out this way? I don't know. Sorry, what now? What's that? A Sydney tower? Yeah, we've got one of those. I think it's larger. It doesn't have a monorail though. All right, yeah, come on up.
So recently, I've been trying to self-teach myself drawing, and one of the problems that I'm running into is perspective. So my question for all of you is, what aspect of drawing did you find the most challenging?
Perspective.
All of it.
Perspective is hard.
Perspective can be a real roadblock. There is a book that I recommend all the time that covers bits and pieces of a lot of basics. It's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none book, but it's called How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. And the great thing about the book is it covers foreshortening, it covers perspective, it covers storytelling with your art. You know, it's the kind of the foundations of each little bit that you need to know. It gives you a basic to go from. There's still more to learn, but it gives you a good idea of starting. So, but I think for me, there's always something in perspective or anatomy or whatever that's always going to be a little bit of a challenge. But that's part of the fun is trying to beat that challenge. I think for me, it's feet. I hate feet. I hate
That's
drawing
why we
feet.
draw these characters
That's why we
without
draw
feet.
ponies, no feet.
No hands either.
Yeah. Do you draw digitally or do you draw traditionally?
Traditionally.
I started working digitally recently, some of the time for like my pencils and my prelims. And perspective digitally is a lot easier because there's all sorts of tools as far as like you can make a grid and pop it into where you need it to go without having to actually rule it out and do the perspective yourself. You can sort of cheat. So that helps. And it also sort of, once you've cheated a few times, you sort of get, you figure it out more that you don't need to cheat the next time. So sometimes you just give yourself a leg up. But if you're not working digitally, I don't know why I'm even telling you. Like, that's more for everyone else, I guess. But yeah, if you do end up, Cintiqing around sometime, get in there. Photoshop's got a perspective tool. It's great.
I'm wanting people to pay attention to me.
Did you just start without having something?
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, seeing other people's art and being like, ooh, I want to be able to make something like that. Comics in particular, I was a big fan of like Calvin and Hobbes. There's something special about Calvin and Hobbes. I was like, I want to grow up and make something like that. And other things like that that caught my attention. I'm roughly the same age as Tony, and I also dug like The Lion King and all that stuff from the 90s. But my favorite thing was The Simpsons, and I wanted to make something like The Simpsons because it wasn't drawn all that well. I didn't think I was that good of an artist at the time, but it was like it had something to say and it had personality and people liked it, and I was like, well, I could draw something like that and that people would like and connect to, and then everyone would like me and no one would make fun of me ever again.
How'd that
go?
work out?
Well, no one's made fun of me yet today.
Now we feel at home.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. We'll move on to the next question. How are you guys getting along with those griffins just before we get to the next question?
Oh, I drew a griffin. I think our griffins are done, right?
What's a griffin again?
I think it's like a Draconicus, right? It's like a Draconicus, right?
Close enough.
No. All right. Read it out for the class. Oh, we've got a small question.
That's smooth drawn. You got to try that.
Oh, yeah, I do. Here's your pencil.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Not trying to stab you with it or anything.
I think I stabbed you. My griffin is raining on the griffin. That's because it's in Seattle. I don't know if you know this hilarious joke about Seattle where it just rains all the time out here. Anyway, I'm tired.
There.
So we've got our next
Go
question.
Seahawks, I guess.
My griffin is wearing a Nirvana t-shirt.
Now that's down home Seattle.
I think you win. Oh, so far.
I don't know. My griffin is playing with an orca. I think there's orcas in Seattle, from what I've heard. But then I realized that the orca is the griffin is flying and the orca is in the sky for some reason. No.
Well, my griffin is very simple right now. As I was Googling an image of a Space Needle, and I will stress the importance of references.
So I drew Gilda visiting Pike Place Market for the first time, about to be smacked by a fish. I'm sure she won't mind, though. I think griffins eat fish. That's generally,
Yeah.
probably not ponies, but yeah.
Okay, thanks, guys, for that. I'll give you some time to finish those up. What we're going to do after that is we're going to go into a couple of time challenges. So just keep that in mind when you're answering questions as well. So we've got one of our younger attendees. Would you like to ask a question?
Do you guys draw any other characters for like different books?
Yes.
There you go.
No, so like me and Andy, both of our main job, like people have a full-time job and a part-time job. I always tell people my full-time job is drawing My Little Pony comics. But then sometimes I'll get like weird stray jobs on the side. So I've done stuff like Ninja Turtles and Batman. I did a couple Marvel covers recently. And you watch that show Miraculous Ladybug? You don't? Oh, it's okay. I did some Miraculous Ladybug covers. So, yeah, just random weird stuff. But My Little Pony is like 85% of my job, and then there's another 15% that's random other stuff.
I wish I got to draw My Little Pony more than I do. I actually used to be one of the staff artists for this convention. The front page, the pony with the green visor, I invented her.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And I don't have time to do that anymore because since Phoebe and her unicorn got successful, my publisher wants me to do nothing but draw that. And I've been obliging them. But one of these days I'll get to draw something else, I promise.
I've been drawing ponies since 2013, like I said earlier. It's kind of funny because when the show came out, and I watched the first season in one night. I was like, this show's pretty good, but I am not going to draw these characters ever.
Isn't the first season 12 hours long or something if you watch it
Yeah,
in
it was on
total?
YouTube it was like a marathon on YouTube, and I just sat there and watched it. And when the episode ended, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? It was like it'd be in between the hiatus between season 1 and season 2 when I first started getting into it. But like I said earlier, right now I'm also doing, not only am I also drawing ponies, but I'm also drawing stuff, doing a comic series of my D&D campaign, which I have a website on. So I'm currently trying to draw humans, which is a huge jump between ponies and an elf ranger, So, and the tough part about it is
Similar
because-
ears.
Similar ears, yes. They have similar ears, but they also have hands and feet, which is difficult. So I'm very bad at drawing hands currently. I'm practicing, and going through my college's drawing classes has helped a lot with anatomy and stuff. And if you are struggling with anatomy or trying to draw people, I suggest you either look up models online and just try to draw them references, because that's what I had to draw. Of course, the models in my class were fully naked or nude models, but I'm pretty sure you can find models online that have some clothing online that they pose for cameras and stuff. So that kind of helped me right now.
When I'm not working on ponies, I am working on 2 comics that I'm putting together with some friends. And one of them is set in space, so I get to play around with creating different creatures and stuff. And actually, My Little Pony helped me a lot because it taught me how to really simplify anatomy of animals and stuff. And it's only a slight tweaking to apply that to other stuff. And the other one is more fantasy based, and it has humanoid, anatomy. And that's taken a lot of practice, but it's really fun to break away from the usual creatures and stuff like that.
So I'm almost, I think, in the opposite boat. I've only started drawing ponies and really more animated characters in the recent years. Most of my drawing experience has been, people, and I think my work kind of shows that. But I think ponies in particular have been really great because it lets me kind of work on, I think, the areas that I'm weakest in most, which is exaggerated, more cartoony expressions and those kind of almost smear frame type drawings. So I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone and get more of that abstract touch into my artwork. And MLP and other comics have been a great opportunity to do that.
Thank you very much. Okay, so just before we launch into our next question, I think we'll get you guys to put your finishing touches to those pictures. And how about we launch into a timed challenge? You guys feel up for a time challenge?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is we'll put, let's say, would 5 minutes be too long? Do you reckon these guys could do a drawing in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
You reckon they could do it in 4? Well,
Halfway,
all right.
4.5.
We'll put them under the we'll put them under the pump for 4. Yeah, I can edit. No, I wouldn't even know what to do. All right. So what we'll do is we'll put them under the pump for 4 minutes, so what we'll do is we'll get them to draw something. Now, what do we want them to draw? What was that? Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Sans the skeleton.
Sans the skeleton. Okay, clearly some things have not come to Australia.
It's an Undertale reference.
It's an Undertale.
It's an Undertale. Okay, do you guys know what they're talking about?
Yes.
No.
I do.
Fantastic.
Do you see me?
Sorry.
Old?
Google is my friend.
Okay, I'll give you 30 seconds to Google. I'm doing that right now. Okay, so while you're quickly Googling before you can launch into it, we'll get our next question.
Do you prefer doing cover art or comic strips?
They're actually pretty different. I mean, with the cover art, you've got to do one great big grabbing photo or grabbing image that will get the reader's attention. It's got to tell a story in one shot, or be an impressive picture. So it's a bit of a gear shift change for me from doing interiors. I like doing them both. I really do. I think I put more work into my covers than I do with the interiors. I paint a lot of my covers. So they're a lot of fun. You know.
Yeah, I would rather do cover art too because you get way more creative and have like a bigger space to draw in.
You do get a bigger space.
And also it covers the interior art. There's a lot of problem solving as far as like how the panels fit on the page, what goes next to what, the layout part of doing a comic book page or a comic strip. There's a lot of almost math in so far as figuring like where stuff goes and what shots work best. And covers, you can just do one shot drawing, like one big explosive drawing.
I sort of like getting to do both. The more different things I get to do, the less bored I get. So, I spend most of my time just drawing comic strips, and that's fine, but when I get to do a book cover or something else like that, it's like, yay, I get to do something besides the usual thing that I do all the time. If I had to draw nothing but covers, I'd probably be like, yay, I get to draw strips, because, it's fun to have variety.
I don't draw comic covers. I draw comic pages, so I guess I have to say I'm not really used to that. But what I can say is that
You draw pinups and stuff, right?
When
Like,
have I
do you
drawn
draw like
pinups?
single images?
Yeah, I draw single images.
Yeah, it's like a cover.
I guess so. Like the most difficult picture I've done is a rendition of The Swing from Jean-Henri Fragonard. Has everybody here seen Frozen?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know the song when Anna is singing in the beginning where she's talking about, Coronation Day, yay, and she like does this jumping thing where she's like this in front of a painting? I drew that picture but ponified it. It's an actual picture done in like 1800s, maybe earlier, French. The style's called Rococo. If you've ever seen these paintings of little naked baby cherubs and they're like, flying in the painting and it's all lovey-dovey in pastel colors, that's called Rococo. So that's where the painting came from, and I did like a Cadence and Shining Armor rendition of that painting, and it took like 2 weeks to do, and it's all because of the foliage, and it was difficult. So if I had to say I did something difficult or big or extravagant, like a cover, I'd say yes, I did that, and it almost sacrificed my hands to the art gods to do it. So yes.
I haven't done full comic pages yet. We're still in the planning of both comics, but I can already tell I already love making like covers for stuff because I really like to pour in many hours on one piece. I like to like fill in all the details and stuff and get all crazy with colors, and that's what I enjoy the most in art, is putting a lot into one thing.
I'm kind of the same way. Most of my pieces take between like 10 and 20 hours if I really just sit down and render everything. And, I usually work on it a few hours a night, after work. And, I kind of like doing that because I can just try to incrementally improve. And really that's, I think, how I've gotten better over the years, because I can just go back and fix the mistakes. But, I can totally see you doing that approach with just, drawing different things over and over again. But for me, I just like to kind of get each piece perfect. I know, when you're doing comic pages and you've got a deadline with, many, many pages that you got to do by a certain amount of time, you don't really have the luxury of doing that. So, if I were in the comic industry, I think I'd definitely be more of a covers guy.
So I guess covers win.
Draw what you want,
Covers always
though,
win.
ultimately.
Unless you're getting paid for it, then you don't draw what you want.
Fair point.
Okay.
I get paid for drawing what I want.
Okay, so just before we get to our next question, we'll just have a check-in and see how we're going with each of our sketches. So we'll start down the end there. Right, now that you know what the skeleton actually looks like, how are you going?
It's awfully fat for a skeleton.
It's just big boned.
I mean,
Hang on, are you talking about
I don't wanna
me,
see
or are you
what this
talking
guy
about-
looked like with skin on? He's about 2 foot tall and about 500 pounds.
Don't fat shame him.
How about you? How are you going?
I mean, I drew a picture of the guy. He is saying the word fun! Exclamation point. That means I'm tired. And these are free. I mean, you guys can just have these at the end of this thing. It's going to be great.
And how about yourself?
I drew him wearing a Nirvana t-shirt.
Oldie but a goodie.
I see you trying to please the crowd. All right, what about yourself?
Okay. I just drew Sans. I don't know. I'm not very creative right now. I have like 5 commissions I still have to do.
How are we doing so far? If you had to rate this panel on a scale of like 1 to horrible,
So
I'm sorry, it's my first panel.
You know, when I've
Sans.
done panels like this before, and this is just constructive criticism, sometimes they have like a big screen behind us that you can like, so like
See what
his
we're
camera
drawing.
would be projecting the pictures of the art that we're. Oh, do you have that?
Yeah.
oh, sweet.
Oh, it's just over there where I can't see it. Okay, carry on then.
Never mind. Taking the camera over your shoulder and watching him.
So I drew Sans.
I
And
thought that was for
drew with some
posterity.
friends. Of course, the Pyres is chipping in over here, and I wanted to make a snowman very happy.
And last but by no means, wow. Okay.
He seems like a pretty happy skeleton, so I drew a happy skeleton.
I'm tired.
That's Applejack.
There's not much more to that.
You've been very patient. Thank you very much.
He's
Would you
not
like
really
to ask
all
me
if you're doing the genocide run, though.
Yep.
Dapple, dapple.
So a lot of you guys have either created characters for comics or created characters for at least something in your comics. What is your process for creating the visual appearance of a new character?
That's an interesting question. Part of it is the mood you need to achieve with the comic strip. I am slowly working on a creator-based piece with one of the other pony staff. It has nothing to do with ponies, but it is a completely different mood shift. So with ours, it's kind of a comedy horror thing. So it's moodier, more blacks. In contrast to something that's My Little Pony, which is very, very light line work. At least on the show is. Not mine. Don't look at not mine. But you want to achieve the mood of the strip that you're trying to pass across in your character. You should be able to look at the character and tell this is what it's going to be about. It's going to be about comedy, or it's going to be about horror, or it's going to be about drama. Like you wouldn't see the Phantom drawn in kind of a dimple-kneed, smiley way because he's an action character. That's the kind of way you would see Dennis the Menace. Charlie Brown sums up Peanuts. I mean, he's little. He's kind of dumpy. You look at him and you go, that is the definition of wishy-washy, and that sums up Charlie Brown. So you really want to go for the mood of the character, is what I think you should be your target when designing a character.
Yeah, in the comics, we will get a description from the writers before we even have to start. So, like, that part of the work is either done if they've given us a lot of detail, or less done if they haven't. But either way, it's nice to have something to go off of like that. So like you said, you can sort of start drawing shapes and details that sort of fit the mood of the character that you're describing. In the comics, sometimes they'll have us do characters that are just like, this is a pony that's like X. Like I've had to draw like a snooty art critic pony, and that's like, oh, well, we should have like a snooty mustache and a beret. Or they'll be like, these characters live on the moon and they control people's dreams. They look like whatever. And then it's just like, oh, geez, well, then I can just draw whatever. I have nothing. I ran out. Somebody? Anyone?
When I'm designing a character, I like to ask the person their personality and stuff, because that goes hand in hand with what colors you choose to fit their personality. For example, Fluttershy, she's very sweet, she's very kind, she's very pastel in colors. She's not brash, she doesn't have any strong reds. She's very soft and quiet, just like her color scheme. While Rainbow Dash, she's very bright blue, like her personality is very bright, very vivid. Color takes in, does a lot with a character's personality. I saw something online where I saw a Fluttershy recolor OC, and it was red and black. It was red and black, but the character was like shy and gentle, just like Fluttershy, but it's just like, do you see red and black being a Fluttershy character? No. Color makes the character. Okay?
Yeah, let me ask this to the audience. What is with the red and black OCs?
They edgy.
Everybody loves the Chicago Bulls still.
Three edgy,
They all
five
love
me.
Scottie Pippen.
But that pegs it right there. Like she was saying with color theory, that's edgy. That's not the kind of design you want to see for a character that's supposed to be shy and demure, you know.
A lot of my characters are based on actual people, and that informs their design heavily. I mean, Phoebe has freckles and dark hair because she's me. Her friend Max looks like my husband. Dakota's kind of my sister Nicole. Phoebe's dad is my friend Ben. Like, a lot of the time, it's an actual person informing. It's sort of a simplified version of an individual person's style, and I'm sort of distilling their personality and their appearance into a simplified character. And, you know, it's a little different, I think, than doing ponies, unless it's cheese sandwich or something. Usually that's not. I'm just going to trail off there.
To expand on what Jade said about keeping in mind color palettes, another important thing to consider is with their personality, silhouettes. So if someone's like meaner, they, make it sharper, make it bigger, make it bulkier. And if you have characters that are like in groups, it's important to keep in mind like contrast. Like, for example, what we just draw, like Sans the skeleton. His brother is tall and skinny, and he's short and, well, rounder. And so it brings more interest into the characters, and I think it helps define who they are. Like, when you think of characters in, like, TV shows and comics, like, usually they'll fit into, like, categories, and they'll have, like, kind of trends among them.
I haven't really done much character creation myself, but just from the perspective of trying to draw a character in another style, because I do that a lot. One thing I've heard another artist kind of describe fan art in general sometimes is like you want to try and avoid, especially for human characters, but you want to avoid the cosplaying syndrome where it feels like you're just drawing someone who's cosplaying as a character you're trying to draw. So if you're like trying to draw Fluttershy as a human, you want to capture that demure prospect. You don't want to see her grouping with a bunch of people taking selfies, and that's really just not her. So even though like the hairstyle and everything's the same, you want to make sure it still feels like that character. You capture their personality, or else it's really, again, you might as well be drawing a cosplayer or someone who just happens to look similar, right?
Okay, we're coming up towards the last 10 minutes of the panel. So before we have our last question, how about we throw out one more challenge? What I'm thinking is we've got the two greatest princesses that there have ever been, which is Celestia and
Diana?
Luna. What? Whoa.
That's right.
I'll
My candle
have-
on the wind.
I'll have you know we've been trying to get a republic for a while now. Anyway, no. We still can't get a republic. You guys have got a president. I like it. It's good. Maybe not this one. Sorry, we're recording. Whoops. You're good.
So is he.
All right. I don't know. Is the guy still in charge, or?
It's my topical MSNBC
Okay,
joke.
yeah,
way off
we're
track.
getting way off track.
Back to
okay,
ponies.
all right. So how about I throw out this one last challenge, which is a sister challenge. You guys need to draw, or can I get you guys to draw Luna and Celestia together? You can draw them however you want. You can have them in a nice sort of happy sort of pose, or maybe if it's anything like me and my sibling at each other's throats, that sort of thing. I don't know. Let's have a bit of fun with it. So while we're getting you guys to draw that, we'll get the next question, the last question up.
So I noticed, well, not noticed, but each of you kind of have your own respective styles, and kind of like how T tends to draw more realistic, and Miss Simpson tends to draw more cartoony. You guys said that's what you wanted to target. So your own styles, did you want to grow towards that, or is it just something that happened as you continue to draw?
I always say that it's just as good as I can do at this point. I feel like I have a style, but it's just sort of how I'd like to draw is about 10 steps better than how I draw at any given time. So that's what I would call my style.
I think that's with all of us. I think the moment we are completely satisfied with the way we draw, we may as well just stop. Artists are their own worst critics. Mm-hmm. Any piece that you guys see, like, that is fabulous, that is the best thing I've ever seen you draw, and in our minds, we are targeting everything that is wrong with the image while you are praising it. It's what makes us get better. As far as style goes, I draw cartoony, I draw realistic, and I always say it's the pencil's fault. It's whatever comes out of the pencil at the moment. That's my excuse anyway. So,
All of the art classes that I took when I was a kid sort of trained me to draw realistically, and I would draw from photos in real life. And when I was like 19 and I decided I was going to start drawing comics in a serious way, I was frustrated by how little those skills seemed to translate. It was like a whole different thing, and I had to learn how to do it from the ground up almost. And I still think, honestly, looking around at everybody's, I think I'm the weakest artist on this stage, at least at what we're doing here right now. I think I'm sort of a writer whose art is good enough. But it is, it's very deliberate. It's a decision that I made. I'm going to get into comic art. Oh, wait, I'm not as good at it as I was at realistic stuff, or I better practice. And so I sort of built my style from there. It's deliberate. I'm still learning. If I wanted to draw more realistic stuff, I could go do that. I don't particularly.
I don't think you're the weakest artist on this stage.
Thank you, Tony.
Also,
so who is Tony?
I was going to put somebody on blast. I don't like that lady's stuff at all. Your stuff is much better. You have like a successful creator-owned thing. That's incredible. So you win.
I win.
Thank you.
Congrats.
I'm sorry, I was busy drawing. So.
Yes,
We'll have
if
a
you
battle
want.
royale right
We'll
here.
see.
Okay, so all right, we're coming along. How about we get an update of where everybody's up to? So I'll get my handy dandy cameraman to camera. My goodness, you guys have infected me. Anyway, come around. I'm losing my accent.
saw that, Tony.
I'm feeling really, really bad. I actually had to go up to Canada just to keep my accent. So yeah, it's been really sad for me. All right, so you think I'm joking? Look at my passport. Anyway. All right, so how are we going down that end? Okay.
Good.
Well, I can't see the big screen. All right. Yeah, could I get you guys to tilt it up to the camera as he comes by? That'd be
You want me to stop? Can't
You said I was an
stop.
editor. Okay. All right. So we do have 4 more minutes. So just
Plenty of
before we wrap up, has anyone got any other questions? All right. Yep. Come on up. You're gonna have to make it quick.
Okay, this has to do with the covers. When you draw a cover with a comic store or a bookstore or any kind of environment like that, how do you actually picture those little covers? Like, for example, I've seen covers of the My Little Pony comic with a bunch of other comic covers in it.
Oh, yeah. I did that with Photoshop.
I was curious about it, if you draw like micro comics inside or something.
No, Andy would do that.
Okay.
Because
Thank
he
you.
has much more soulful
I
than
have
me.
some
I was
kind of a death wish.
some sort of integrity. I was just like, I'm going to...
And
That's the sound Photoshop makes.
next quick
This is
question.
a question for Tony or anyone else that does digital art. Do you have any tips that you like to give for using like a Cintiq or some sort of, the differences between hand-drawn art and the advantages of using Cintiq, or just tips, general tips that you've learned or been forced to learn by using that method?
I don't know. I've only been using this, like I've been using Photoshop for like 20 years, but the Cintiq I've only had for 2 or 3 years, and I'm not real great with hotkeys or anything like that. I'm sort of like barely hanging on. So I don't know what tips I have. Besides, don't zoom in too much. A lot of people will go all the way in and then do super detailed stuff, and then when you zoom out, it doesn't matter because it's so tiny. So sort of set your line weight at a certain, say I'm not going smaller than like a 0.8 brush, and then don't go smaller than that because it won't matter unless you're doing some sort of experimental project where it's digital and you can zoom in on every corner of the thing.
If you really want to challenge yourself, change your history back button.
Yeah.
To 2 times. You get to make the mistake twice, and then it's there.
Does that speed you along?
No kidding. I know a particular artist who does his color work digitally, and his history is set to twice, because otherwise he says, I will sit there for hours and hours and hours reworking the same spot. And it makes him say, okay, it's done. And then that's all I can do. I got to move on. So, and it's also a neat challenge trick.
Okay. Talking about time, I have a very panicked director who's looking at me saying that we're getting very close to time. So how about we have one quick look through each of your pictures. So just if you want to do your finalised brushstrokes. While they're finishing up, how about we give these guys a round of applause. So we've got... Sorry, say your names into the microphone. Say your name into the microphone.
Tony Conti.
Next one along. What's your name again?
Who, me?
No. Remind everyone what's your name again.
Oh, hallelujah.
Yep.
My name is Jada Jinx.
My name is Marigold Heavenly Nostrils.
Okay. Come on, guys.
I'm Tony Fleece.
And I'm Andy Price.
Cool. All right, okay, and we're going to have one quick run through. So thank you guys very much for your time. Thank you guys very much for your questions. If this has been your first day here, we would love to give you a very warm welcome and thanks for coming along. We have one more day. I hope to see you guys all there. I know I will be. I have to be. I have to help set up. Anyway, so let's go down the table. So can I get you guys to hold up your pictures because the camera guy can't crane his neck.
Get that for the Australians.
After this lovely, nicely rendered sun and moon. But yeah, Celestia likes her cake, so I think that's really her defining trait. So that and bananas, cakes and bananas.
Clap, guys.
The length of
So I
that
quickly rendered the princesses interacting. I always like when Luna's a bit more goofy on the show. And I wanted to capture that real quick.
Thank you.
I drew Luna playing a prank on Celestia with a spider while she's reading a book. I don't know, and her laughing in the background.
Thank you.
I drew Celestia wearing a Nirvana t-shirt. And Luna wearing a Pearl Jam t-shirt.
Here I've drawn Princess Celestia and Luna, and Princess Luna's wearing a Silverchair t-shirt for our Australian friends, and Celestia's wearing a Sir Mix-a-Lot t-shirt for our Seattle friends.
Local talent represent.
How many of you have siblings? All right, you will understand.
All right, how about we give everyone one more round of applause. Thank you guys very much for coming along. You guys have been very good sports. Thanks for putting up with us. So that's it for the panel for today. Once again, thank you very much for coming. We hope to see you back bright and bushy-tailed tomorrow morning. Thank you. And one last thing, these guys have got these pictures. They'll be sitting probably over in the Artist Alley. I don't think the Artist Alley's open now, but they will be open tomorrow.
Why don't you just come up and...
Come on.
Or, okay, come on up.
Come
Come up and grab it.
Yeah.